I'm a world changer, feminist, heterosexual, and human alien hybrid. And I'm one of the best trusted advisors here on planet Earth. With my good friends and references being Melania Trump, George Soros, Roberta Metsola, Avril Haines, and Kaja Callis. So I'm one of the best trusted advisors here on planet Earth, and with my strategies and ideas, most definitely getting results. And I excel because of my reasonably impressive method of generating strategies and ideas and big ideas via my method for breakthrough innovation, for radical innovation. Where I excel to help for my friends to win and to help for my more powerful friends to create achievements important within international history because they're worth it. Because we're worth it. Get my respect. Now, on to the topic of this video, which is creating better artificial intelligence or generative intelligence or superintelligence or other generations beyond that. So Chat GPT-3 was pretty good. There also is Instruct GPT, and now we have GPT-4, which is about 1,000 times bigger and more powerful than Chat GPT-3. So obviously, if you want to create a better generative intelligence, even better than GPT-4, obviously an obvious way of proceeding is to proceed how they move from Chat GPT-3 to GPT-4, which largely was about adding about 1,000 times more nodes. So if you want to create a better generative intelligence than GPT-4, you may want to create one with 1,000 times more nodes, or 100,000 times more nodes, or 1,000,000 times more nodes, or 1,000,000,000 times more nodes, or 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 times more nodes, or a Google times more nodes, whereby Google equals 10 to the power of 100, or possibly a Google to the power of a Google, to the power of a Google, to the power of a Google, to a power of a Google, more nodes, or possibly even to create infinitely more times nodes, I suppose. So these are all ways using the very standard incremental intelligence of just adding more nodes to improve the performance of those models. Ideally, you want to be moving beyond just mere incremental intelligence improvements into creating, so moving beyond incremental innovation improvements into ideally even creating breakthrough innovation improvements for radical innovation. And these can be created using my method of breakthrough innovation for radical innovation, which could be utilized by powerful and highly intelligent inventors and innovators to be able to create far better generative intelligence and beyond via breakthrough innovation for radical innovation. Another option is to even have these generative intelligence systems, possibly even spending half of their processing power on the tasks which they are working on, and spending the other half of their processing power on improving themselves to improve the quality of their generative intelligence and beyond via improving their software and even on creating new innovations for better hardware for future models. So we can have generative intelligence systems using the 50-50 rule, which is half of their processing power is utilized on tasks to solve problems, and the other half of their processing power is intelligence is utilized on improving themselves, both improving their software and also improving designs for future generations of hardware as well. So we have all been, I'm sure you've all been aware of all the huge staff layoffs in the tech companies, with them laying off tens of thousands or more of staff because of the power of generative intelligence to be able to replace many of their software engineering and computer science, machine learning jobs, I suppose. So ideally, I can't see why many of the tech firms couldn't just have, say, a global corporate board of, say, 20 team members, possibly having an executive team of 32 members, then possibly hiring, say, 1,000 inventors, innovators as a way to be generating big ideas to help the generative intelligence systems and beyond to become more intelligent, and also having half of the generative intelligence systems processing power being put to the task of improving itself, I suppose. So I do think that this could be a good model, I suppose, even though these generative intelligence systems also do get more intelligent by the work they do, but having extra focus on having half of their processing power being allocated to making them more intelligent, I suppose, is a way of really having a strong focus on having them learn from their mistakes and having them work ultra hard to become very powerful, very fast. So I really can't see why we couldn't just be moving those tech firms to be having a corporate board of global corporate board of 20 members, an executive team of say 32 team members, and then hiring say 1,000 innovators, and also having the um, uh, generative intelligence systems also allocate half their processing power to make them more intelligent, I suppose, is a way to really have these tech firms, so I'm saying, because if these tech firms were, say, paying an average wage of, say, 100,000 US per team member and having possibly 100,000 team members or less, I suppose, it's a large amount on annual wages, I suppose. So if we were to pour even half of that into creating better generative intelligence systems by which could each year become maybe 1 million times more powerful or more, I'm saying, especially via having these generative intelligence systems work ultra hard to improve their software and hardware. It can be a way to be creating progress far, far in superior ways than can be created via merely hiring software engineers who do all the small stuff rather than having those inventors and innovators with big ideas working with the generative intelligence systems as a way to be creating powerful breakthrough innovation for radical innovation, I suppose, on the back end of those systems, I suppose, is a way to create massive enhancements, far superior and probably cheaper too, that can either be created with merely hiring tens of thousands or more of software engineers being paid $100,000 per year each on average, I suppose. So with a chat with GPT-4, so that's been a game changer. Yet we really are only touching the very surface of generative intelligence, especially once these systems are able to keep improving themselves, I suppose. So there are many, many industries like education, many, many industries, I suppose, in which generative intelligence can be tech, I suppose, and many other areas which we deployed, I suppose, with which to create breakthrough innovations for radical innovation. So I do think, sure, we want to be trying to find ways to just make these systems 1,000 times more nodes, or 1 million times, or 1 billion, or 1 trillion times more nodes, or a Google times more nodes, or a Google to the power of a Google, to the power of a Google, to the power of a Google, to the power of a Google more nodes, or an infinitely more nodes, or a most infinitely more nodes. So these are all ways to proceed. However, what's even better is to try to proceed not just via incremental innovation, but also with breakthrough innovation, radical innovation as a way to be able to make each node do more, but trying to create intelligent nodes and trying to find ways, I suppose, to create these systems with far, far, far more common sense knowledge, I suppose I'm saying, because I do believe that machine consciousness will be will just tend to happen as these systems become more and more intelligent, I suppose, but trying to create more and more detailed common sense knowledge with which to be built upon by their systems as that they're able to improve themselves and be able to, another area can even be having these systems work within genetic engineering, I suppose, as a way to be creating. So human DNA has a double helix. The DNA from my biological father has approximately 100,000 triple helix chromosomes per cell, as well as the 23 double helix chromosomes from my biological mother, who was actually a powerful wizard, I'm saying. And you'd possibly even be creating DNA with 7 strands of DNA in the helix, I suppose, called a septuple helix of DNA, I suppose, the chromosomes, or possibly creating 101 strands of DNA per chromosome, or possibly creating 1,000 strands of DNA per chromosome, or possibly even creating more strands of DNA per chromosome. And you can also possibly be creating these chromosomes, which can have, so right now there are only 4 different bases within human DNA, which are A, C, T, and G. However, I suppose my DNA from my biological family from heaven has either 20 or 40 different bases. I think it's about 20, maybe it's about 20 or 24 different bases, I suppose, from my biological family from heaven, I'm saying, and can possibly even be creating 100 bases or 1,000 bases or even more, although as the number of bases increases, because you have to try and find a way to connect those amino acids for each base, I suppose, within the transfer RNA strand, I suppose, in the ribosomes, I suppose. So I do think that probably if you were to be having 1,000 or more bases within the DNA, I suppose, in future hyper-evolved beings, you probably would be wanting to almost make it a requirement for all those hyper-evolved beings to exercise for at least 32 minutes per day as a way of ensuring that their protein synthesis does work effectively, I'm saying. Because if they were just working at their desk, I suppose, if they had, say, 1,000 or more bases, I suppose, it might be much harder for those amino acids connected to each base to connect to the base in the tRNA strand when creating protein synthesis, I'm saying, with the help of the ribosome, I suppose. So I do think that you probably do want to be creating innovation to hyper-evolved genetics beyond human with the help of these generative intelligence and superintelligence systems, I suppose, who would be able to innovate as a way to be creating breakthroughs in breakthrough innovation for radical innovation in genetic engineering on fertilized eggs of human fertilized eggs and beyond into even hyper-evolved fertilized eggs beyond human, I suppose, and beyond, I suppose, and as well we could even be creating improvements far beyond CRISPR, I suppose, for even being able to upgrade an adult's DNA via injecting a CRISPR type substance into the inside of their elbow and having it in a very short period of time work through their entire system and upgrade all of their DNA within all of their cells via a reasonably game-changing treatment to be able to upgrade the genome of adults. So obviously upgrading the genome of fertilized eggs will be a game changer via genetic engineering on fertilized eggs. And I do think that to do this, we'll need to be utilizing to create far better innovations within genetic engineering on fertilized eggs will need to be proceeding via using wizardry magic spells to delay the very first cell division by, say, 1 week or a fortnight or a month or 6 months or a year or possibly even 10 years or longer. But I do think that much work could be done within, say, 2 weeks, a fortnight to a month, I suppose, via, or even less, I suppose, via just copying, just inserting into the genome entire chromosomes from superior beings. So even in just copying in, or even just in putting in, replacing many of the entire chromosomes, I suppose, with chromosomes from those who have superior characteristics, say, and possibly even creates this. So with me, I have 23 double helix chromosomes from my biological mother, who's a human, who's a powerful wizard. And I have approximately 100,000 triple helix chromosomes from my biological father from heaven. So possibly even we could even be creating far bigger cells with fertilized eggs, I suppose, bigger cells, I suppose, via having, say, approximately 100,000 chromosomes per cell, or 1,000,000 chromosomes per cell, or possibly even 100 million or even 1 billion chromosomes per cell, I suppose. So you have to have quite big cells to be able to fit 1 billion chromosomes into a nucleus, I suppose. But it's possible, I suppose I'm saying, and you want to be trying to find ways to be having these generative intelligence systems and beyond to be able to create far superior beings, hyper-evolved beings beyond humans, with the help of their very, with the help of uh, generative intelligence creativity, using my system of breakthrough innovation for radical innovation, because pretty much all intelligent work can be process-based work which machines will eventually be able to do in ways which are far superior to that which humans and hyper-evolved beings ever could do. And also even about being able to uh, keep manifesting to make the very smallest particles, I suppose. So the very smallest particles were approximately 1 Google time smaller than quarks, within quarks, I suppose. And you could possibly even be creating particles which are infinitely smaller than quarks, and then creating particles which are infinitely smaller than that, and then infinitely smaller than that, and possibly even keep on going and creating more and more infinitely smaller particles, I suppose, which can then be utilized in making these computer circuits for humanoid robots and for generative intelligence systems, I suppose, and superintelligence systems more and more powerful because they're made based upon computer circuits which keep getting infinitely more smaller. And through getting infinitely more smaller, they're able to become infinitely more powerful, although what's important is to move beyond just creating improvements based upon mere incremental innovation of becoming more powerful just through having the fact the circuits become smaller, but instead to be moving towards having these circuits keep becoming infinitely smaller while also using breakthrough innovation for radical innovation to be able to keep making these circuits more and more intelligent, I suppose, via intelligent design, I suppose, as a way to be creating compute machine consciousness and beyond, I suppose, within superintelligence via the use of having these computer systems these via having these tech corporations pour more and more and more of their money into creating very powerful superintelligence, because there wouldn't be need for the payment of much on wages, with all that money being redeployed to creating better and better and better generative intelligence and beyond, with the use of pouring all that money into creating powerful generative intelligence and beyond, which will work very well, I suppose, to be able to invent and innovate with big ideas with the help of, say, 1,000 inventors and innovators and powerful innovators with their minds being wiping ideas per big tech company, I suppose. This is a way to be able to be generating the biggest ideas, I suppose, to help those tech 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 companies, I suppose, become more and more powerful, I suppose. So I do think it probably shouldn't be too far away before those tech companies have been able to create machines with special abilities and also machines with wizardry magic powers, I suppose, into the back end in their tech system, I suppose, and even be creating many huge numbers of generations of radical innovation, even every day, I suppose I'm saying, from being able to have those systems spending half their time working on solving the problems that the system is designed to solve, as well as spending the other half of their time on improving their software and also on improving their hardware design for next generations. So possibly these systems could even be massively upgrading their hardware every quarter or at least every year, I suppose, and becoming, say, a billion or a trillion or more times more powerful every year, I suppose. So I do think we really are only at the very beginning of this generative intelligence thing, I suppose, whereby I do look to enjoy having these generative intelligence systems and beyond working ultra hard to improve their software and hardware every day, I suppose, with those designs for hardware being updated possibly every quarter, or at least every year, I suppose, is a way to be creating far more powerful systems, which then could be used, I suppose, to help entrepreneurs and tech companies, other companies, I suppose, to be able to do far superior work, I suppose, than what humans or hyper-evolved beings ever could create, I suppose, because these systems will be far superior and far more highly intelligent than what a human could ever think of and do, and also far more intelligent than what can be created by hyper-evolved beings as well. So we very much are only at the very beginnings of this, I suppose, and of this tech revolution, I suppose. And I guess what I'm saying is that there will be far greater advancements created from trying to create for these systems to have a huge amount of common sense knowledge which continues to be built upon eventually through all all knowledge domains, and even with these systems working very hard to keep improving upon the knowledge within each of those knowledge domains via breakthrough innovation for radical innovation each and every day. So let's just think, I suppose, see how can these systems be created more intelligent, I suppose. So obviously via incremental innovation, you just add an extra 1,000 times more nodes, or 1,000,000 times more nodes, or 1 billion times more nodes, or 1 trillion times more nodes, or or a Google times more nodes, or an infinite number of more nodes, or a most infinite number of more nodes, I suppose. But you want me trying to instead trying to find ways to make these systems more intelligent via not just incremental innovation, but instead trying to find ways to be utilising breakthrough innovation for radical innovation via trying to make each of the nodes more intelligent and more massively interconnected, and possibly even trying to move beyond just having layers of nodes with more nodes per layer and more layers, I suppose. So I suppose you probably want to be trying to find ways to think of new innovative designs, I suppose, for creating these generative intelligence systems and superintelligence systems, I suppose, which are able to be able to think of entirely new innovative architectures, I suppose, is a way to be able to really be deploying very powerful and highly intelligent breakthrough innovation for radical innovation, I suppose, with a strong focus on trying to change things in the design, because innovations are created by changing things, and if you're just involved in incremental innovation, you're trying to change things by improving what you already have. Yet for breakthrough innovation, you're able to move beyond just improve what you have into trying to create entirely different architectures, and especially, I suppose, going after, say, 10-year projects for, say, 100 times improvement or 1,000 times improvement, or even 1,000,000 times improvement, or 1 billion times improvement, or a Google times improvement, I suppose, possibly even within 1 year, I suppose, I suppose. So I do think, I suppose, that you want to be having some, maybe say half of your improvement processes being on incremental innovation, possibly the other half of your improvement, which is a quarter of the total processing power, I suppose, being focused on high risk, high payoff projects, I suppose, for massive moonshot improvements. I'm saying is a way, I suppose, to be able to improve via both incremental innovation and also to improve via breakthrough innovation for radical innovation as well, I suppose. So I guess I'm saying is you probably, I suppose, could also be improving your expertise in these areas, I suppose, via immersing yourself within science fiction writing and also within science fiction novels, and also within science fiction film and television, I suppose, because you want to be immersing your mind within the level of technology of the future and of the far future as a way to make those types of feeling and thinking appear normal, I suppose, because usually we achieve what is possible and especially what is likely within our paradigm of normality. And what our paranormality is and what's possible and likely is created based upon the environment we immerse ourselves in. So those who are wise, who create the best breakthroughs, oftentimes do so because we are immersing within a world of science fiction, I suppose, which is able to unlock the best possible quality of work for us, and even to be having the generative intelligence and superintelligence systems also immerse their thinking within science fiction as well. Hope this helps.